Good evening. Tonight I want to discuss with you the Common Core Standards. The Common Core Standards were started in 2009, but originally restarted research in 2007. In 2009, however, the state leaders from 48 different states, 2 territories, and the District of Columbia met to discuss a set of standards that would be implemented nationwide so that when a student moved from one state to another, there wouldn't be a difference in learning. They would still be on that same level. Common Core Standards are used and implemented however the schools choose or however the teachers feel it's best to teach their students, because who knows the students better than the teachers. Yet many schools use the Common Core Standards along with the core knowledge curriculum. Now, standards and curriculum are 2 different things. Standards are what the children are expected to know. The curriculum is a way the teachers use to get them to those standards. So the curriculum can be different statewide. Wherever they choose to, move to, it may be something different. But core knowledge is very popular and another controversial issue. The core knowledge curriculum uses a very rigorous programming. Students are giving skills to build upon. Say they start off with 1 + 1 = 2. Well, then from there they learn 1 dot plus 1 dot adds up to 2 dots. My example that I have for you is using the Common Core curriculum, using Singapore math, which is the breaking down of numbers basically, so that it's easier for students to understand. Now, if you see on my example, many people get worksheets home like this that state 8 times 6 is equal to 6 times 8. Well, the students learn that that is the community property and that they equal each other. Or you may see a problem on a paper that says 8 times 6 is equal to question mark. Then underneath it, you'll see this strange little box with all these little dots. And at first, it may throw you for a loop because you probably grew up as I did doing the old math, where you just kind of learn the times tables. But now they teach these students that 8 times 6 is the same as saying I have 6 blocks with 8 dots on them. So if I add up all those dots, my answer would be 48. Seems really difficult when you first see it, so it is confusing to a lot of people. That type of math is being used now nationwide mostly, and like I said, it's called Singapore math. It is just something that core knowledge uses to help teach their math standards to adhere to the Common Core Standards. It gets very confusing, I know. So I will give you an example of a day in the life of our public school. Maybe it will help you understand it better. So the first thing that we do is we do our Daily 5. Now, Daily 5 is a whole different type of curriculum that is used in conjunction with core knowledge and accelerated reader. The Daily 5 is a set of centers. We have WordWorks, we have Read to Self, we have Read to Others, we have guided reading, and then we have just whatever other station the teachers choose to use that day. So during the day, each group, your classrooms are all divided into groups now, and each group gets assigned to one center to start the morning. So when they start, if they start in WordWorks, then they'll do a small break and do a lesson. That is where the core knowledge comes in. It will be a math lesson, an English lesson, science, social studies, whichever standard they're working on that day. And they're given a skill set that they have to learn, a worksheet that once the teacher explains, the teacher usually goes through the first worksheet with them. So they do their mini lesson then they go back into groups. Then they may do guided reading, which is teacher-led reading. It's usually 8 to 10 minutes of one-on-one instruction with that teacher while the rest of the class does their group activities. Then from there, they'll go back into another mini lesson on the same skill set that they were first working on. Except this time when they finish, they will get what's called an exit ticket. And that exit ticket is used by the teacher to tell whether those children honestly learned the skill that she taught that day. If they didn't, they'll do the skill again the next day, and they'll do another worksheet, and they'll do another exit ticket. Usually it's the standard anyways to use 2 exit tickets and 2 worksheets per skill set. Now, once they do that second set of skills, they'll go back in. They have 3 group times during the morning. So they'll go in and they'll do another group. If they do read to others, that is where them and their group sit down and take turns reading to each other. This helps them with increasing fluency. This helps them with increasing word knowledge, because what they might not know, their friend might. And if they all 3 don't, they have access to dictionaries, thesaurus. They have access to all this stuff in their classroom. With WordWorks, they have access to tiles, different methods of learning to put words together so that they can help better read those words. Fluency. So once they finish the daily 5, then, usually in our life it's recess, but, go to the lunchroom, have lunch. Then after we come back from those, then it's direct instruction time again. It's time for them to sit down and do another skill set, another subject. So some classes, they go right into literacy after lunch. So they have the same exact thing as with math. They have a skill set they're taught. They have worksheets they have to do, teacher-led. And once they finish the teacher-led worksheets, she'll discuss it some more. Once she sees what problems they had, then they'll get an exit ticket. Once they complete the exit ticket, once again, the teacher goes from there and knowing whether she needs to continue with the same subject the next day. From there, they also have what they call the Accelerated Reader Program, which many of you may be familiar with or have heard at some time in your life if you have a child in school. What it is a whole nother program combined in our schools with Core Knowledge and the Daily 5 that pushes children to read through rewards. Because the children learn that the harder the books, the more points they receive. And most schools, I don't know very many who don't, but most schools reward the children for the most points for reading their goal. On general, they're given a 100% goal that they have to accomplish at the end of a term. But many, if they don't get there, that affects their grade too. But Accelerated Reader is also a program that helps push reading onto these children. Now, the classics are usually taught during the guided reading or implemented into other sections of the schoolwork, say the literacy training. But the students do still get those critical skills that parents hope their children are going to get so that they're college ready. Now, according to the CoreStandards.org, Common Core was implemented basically to keep all states and all students on the same level. And it was based off of the higher standard states that were already being used. So you had some states who had really high standards, really, really smart and good programs. So those standards were what they worked from. They worked from those standards back down for the states who were a little lower than that. They didn't come down, but they tried to find a middle ground. So, okay, we can't keep them all on this high standard, and your students aren't quite meeting that standard, so let's bring it down. So the Common Core standards were implemented from standards that were already in place and working, and then they were just tweaked so that all states could accomplish them together. The Common Core standards have their own grading scale. We no longer use A, B, C, D's, and F's anymore. It is 1, 2s, 3s, and 4s. 1, 2, 3s, and 4s. A 1 is when a student does not understand a skill at all. A 2 is when a student understands a skill, but they need help doing it. A 3 is when a student completely understands the skill and they no longer need help. But a 4 is when a student understands the skill but can help others too. They can teach that skill to someone else. These skills that they learn may seem scattered out and not make much sense, but the curriculum through Core Knowledge is designed according to CoreKnowledge.com so that each skill set is like a puzzle piece, and all of them eventually, while they might not make sense at first, they will build together and eventually make one big picture. So I hope you now understand a little more about the Common Core Standards, Core Knowledge, the Daily 5, and Accelerated Reader. They are the programs that students will be using probably for years to come. And right now, everyone just needs to have a better knowledge base before basing any opinions. Thank you and have a good night.